So dear students, we meet again in our history class of Standard 9th. Today, we will discuss Chapter 7, Science and Technology. In our previous video, we have learned about Indian Atomic Energy Commission, nuclear tests and missile development. Today, we will discuss about space research and technological progress. In 1961, the Government of India and Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru entrusted the responsibility for space research and for the peaceful use of outer space to the Department of Atomic Energy, then under the leadership of Dr. Homi Bhabha, who was instrumental in creation of the committee. In 1962, the Department of Atomic Energy set up Indian National Committee for Space Research with Dr. Vikram Sarabhai as chairman to organize a national space program. At the time, the committee was a part of the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. The committee took over the responsibilities of the Department of Atomic Energy in Space Science and Research. Indian National Committee for Space Research took the decision to set up Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station at Thumba on the southern tip of India. H.G.S. Murthy was appointed as the first director of Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who later became the President of India, was amongst the initial team of rocket engineers performing the Indian National Committee for Space Research, which was superseded by the Indian Space Research Organization in 1969. Rohini 75 is a part of series of sounding rockets developed by the Indian Space Research Organization for meteorological and atmospheric study. Aryabhatta, first unmanned Earth satellite built by India. It was named for a prominent Indian astronomer and mathematician of the 5th century CE. The satellite was assembled at Peenya near Bangalore, but was launched from within the Soviet Union by a Russian-made rocket on April 19, 1975. The Aryabhatta's launch was successful at a time when leading space powers had little faith in India's chances to produce an indigenous satellite. Aryabhatta weighed 360 kilograms with instruments to explore conditions in Earth's ionosphere, measure neutrons and gamma rays from the Sun, and perform investigations in X-ray astronomy. The Indian National Committee for Space Research was established by Jawaharlal Nehru under the Department of Atomic Energy in 1962 on the urging of scientist Vikram Sarabhai, recognizing the need in space research. The Indian National Committee for Space Research grew and became ISRO in 1969 within the Department of Atomic Energy. It since then has been managed by the Department of Space, which governs various other institutions in India in domain of astronomy and space technology. The Indian Space Research Organization, that is, ISRO, is the National Space Agency of India, headquartered in Bengaluru. Satish Dhawan Space Center or Sriharikota Range is a rocket launch center operated by ISRO. It is located in Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh. Sriharikota Range was renamed in 2002 after ISRO's former chairman Satish Dhawan. Bhaskara 1 and 2 were two satellites built by the Indian Space Research Organization that formed India's first low Earth orbit Earth observation satellite. They collected data on telemetry, oceanography, and hydrology. Both satellites named after ancient mathematicians, Bhaskara 1 and Bhaskara 2. Bhaskara 1, weighing 444 kg at launch, was launched on 7th June 1979 from Kasparton Yar aboard the Intercosmos launch vehicle, the first experimental remote sensing satellite built in India. The onboard TV camera imageries were used in the field of hydrology and forestry. Rich scientific data sent by satellite microwave radiometer was used for oceanographic studies. Bhaskara 2 was launched on 20th November 1981 from Kasparton Yar on board the Intercosmos launch vehicle. Ariane passenger payload experiment, that is Apple, was an experimental communication satellite successfully launched by Ariane 1 from Kourou, French Guiana on 19th June 1981, exactly 35 years back, marking an important milestone in India's space program. Apple was used in several communication experiments, including relay of TV programs and radio networking. It was used to carry out extensive experiments on time, frequency, and code division multiple access systems, radio networking, computer interconnect, random access, and pocket switching experiments. It also provided an opportunity to introduce state-of-the-art technologies of the day. Apple was India's first communication satellite. The Indian National Satellite System, or INSAT, is a series of multi-purpose geostationary satellites launched by ISRO to satisfy the telecommunications, broadcasting, meteorology, weather forecasting, disaster warning, and search and rescue operations. Commissioned in 1983, INSAT is the largest domestic communication system in the Indo-Pacific region. INSAT satellites provide transponders in various bands to serve the television and communication needs of India. The satellites also incorporate transponders for receiving distress alert signals for search and rescue missions in the South Asian and Indian Ocean region. Chittaranjan Locomotive Works is an electric locomotive manufacturer based in India. The works are located at Chittaranjan in the Asansol Sadar subdivision of West Bengal. It is the largest locomotive manufacturer unit in the world, producing 431 locomotives in 2019-20. Steam engines, electric engines, and engines running on diesel were manufactured here. Diesel Locomotive Works in Varanasi, India is a production unit of Indian Railways. It was the largest diesel-electric locomotive manufacturer in India. The Diesel Locomotive Works, a premier locomotive manufacturing unit of Indian Railways in Varanasi, will now be known as Banaras Locomotive Works. Since not many countries have a long electric traction, India transports diesel locos to Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Mali, Senegal, Sudan, Tanzania, Angola, and Vietnam. The Telex Network is a customer-to-customer switch network of teleprinters similar to a telephone network using telegraph-grade connecting circuits for two-way text-based messages. Telex was a major method of sending written messages electronically between businesses in the post-World War II period. In 1969, the Telex service started in Devanagari script in Delhi. Later, it spread all over the country. With the rise of Internet after 1990, the significance of this service reduced. In 1967, the first experimental satellite communication Earth station located in Ahmedabad was operationalized, which also doubled as a training center for the Indian as well as international scientists and engineers. In 1970, a center was established at RV near Pune, equipped for international telecommunication service. Even though letter writing has become a thing of past, our online shopping habits keep the PIN code from becoming obsolete. Ever wondered how is the PIN code of a particular area decided? PIN code stands for Postal Index Number Code, also known as zip code or area postal code. PIN code is the post office numbering code system used by the Postal Service of India, that is India Post. The PIN was first introduced in India on 15th August 1972. It is a 6 digits long code with each of the digits denoting a particular meaning. The first digit of the PIN reflects the region. In India, there are 9 PIN regions, out of which first 8 stands for geographical location and 9 is especially used for the Army Postal Service. For example, Northern region 1, 2, Western region 3, 4, Southern region 5, 6, Eastern region 7, 8, Army Postal Service 9. The second digit in the PIN code indicates the sub-region. Thus, the first 2 digits of the PIN identifies a particular circle. The list goes like this: 11 for Delhi, 12 and 13 for Haryana, 14 to 16 Punjab, 17 Himachal Pradesh, 18, 19 Jammu and Kashmir, 20 to 28 Uttar Pradesh and Uttaranchal, 30 to 34 Rajasthan, 36 to 39 Gujarat, 40 to 44 Maharashtra, and so on. The third digit in the PIN code indicates the sorting district within the region. In this case, it is in Kolkata district. The last 3 digits designates the specific post office within the district. This PIN code comes under Takuria Post Office. So, the PIN code suggests a place at Takuria in Kolkata, West Bengal. International direct dialing or international subscriber dialing is placing an international telephone call that is dialed directly by a telephone subscriber rather than by a telephone operator. In 1972, Overseas Communication Service was established in Mumbai for the management of international telecommunication service. In 1976, the International Subscriber Dialed Telephone Service was started to connect Mumbai and London directly on phone. Alongside the telephone service, services like telex, teleprinter, and radio images were started. MTNL was set up on 1st April 1986 by the Government of India to upgrade the quality of telecom services, expand the telecom network, introduce new services, and to raise revenue for telecom development needs of India's key metros. Videsh Sanchar Nigam was incorporated in 1986 under the Indian Companies Act of 1956. Soon after its inception, VSNL took over the control of the Overseas Communication Services, the main telecommunication company under the Government of India. VSNL has grown by leaps and bounds to become a giant telecommunications company today, offering seamless service to its customers spread across the globe. Satyam Sampatroda is an Indian telecommunication engineer, inventor, and entrepreneur. He is popularly known as the father of India's computer and IT revolution, as he helped Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi in bringing computerization as an advisor to the Prime Minister. He was also an advisor to the Prime Minister during Manmohan Singh's tenure. He spent nearly a decade with Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi as a leader of an effort to build an Indian information industry. The task was to extend digital telecommunications to every corner of the country, including remote villages. Pitroda launched the Center for the Development of Telematics and served as advisor to the Prime Minister on technology missions related to water, literacy, immunization, oilseeds, telecom, and dairy. He is also the founding chairman of India's Telecom Commission. 25 years of mobile phones. India's journey to becoming world's second largest smartphone market. It all started in 1995 when India's first ever mobile phone call was made between Kolkata and New Delhi. At present, 25 years later, India is the world's second largest smartphone market. Would you pay roughly 4,900 for a prepaid SIM at a call rate of Rs 17 per minute for incoming and outgoing? Sounds almost absurd, considering India has one of the lowest call tariffs in the world. But if you owned a mobile phone in 1995, these were the rates you would have to pay. That year, exactly 25 years ago from today, the first ever mobile phone call was made in India when West Bengal Chief Minister Jyoti Basu, sitting in the Writers' Building in Kolkata, spoke to Union Telecom Minister Sukram at Sanchar Bhavan in New Delhi. The historic call was made on a GSM network and between two Nokia handsets over Modi Telstra's mobile net service. This sparked the beginning of a telecom revolution in India, a movement spearheaded by the likes of Jio, Airtel, Vodafone, Idea and BSNL today. Back then, mobile phones were expensive. Custom duties made up around 60% of the cost of handsets made by Ericsson, Siemens, Sony, Philips, Nokia and Motorola. Further, sales tax and turnover tax added to it. Despite some momentum for mobile phones, most of India that could afford telephone services relied on landlines. The government-owned BSNL and MTNL were the only entities allowed to provide landline phone service in India. Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited is a government-owned telecommunications service provider headquartered in New Delhi, India. It was incorporated on 1st October 2000 by the Government of India. It provides total telecom services such as mobile voice and internet services through its nationwide telecommunications network across India. It is the largest government-owned wireless telecommunications service provider in India. Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, that is ONGC, is an Indian government-owned crude oil and natural gas corporation. It is under the ownership of Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas of Government of India. It is the largest government-owned oil and gas exploration and production corporation in the country and produces around 70% of India's crude oil, equivalent to around 57% of the country's total demand, and around 84% of its natural gas. In the 1960s, as India embarked upon an industrialization overdrive, its energy requirements rocketed. The country's only oil well in Digboi, Assam, was producing a small amount of crude even as imports were galloping. Western energy experts were hired to look for oil in its continental shelf, but they quickly declared India was hydrocarbon barren. In their view, the vast country and its offshore basins were totally lacking in significant oil and gas deposits. In stepped the Russians. From 1964 to 1967, a Russian oil exploration team operating from the seismic exploration vessel mapped the Gulf of Khambat on the west coast. The team's efforts led to the discovery of India's largest oil and gas field, 160 kilometers off Mumbai. The first offshore well was sunk in 1974. 1974, the world economy was struggling to come to terms with oil crisis arising out of oil embargo by Middle East oil producing nations. The import price of oil hit all-time high and countries like India were worst affected due to lack of significant indigenous hydrocarbon resources. ONGC precisely at that time was launching its most ambitious exploration effort in high seas about 90 nautical miles off Mumbai, then Bombay. Fingers crossed, but spirits high. Jack up, self-propelled, self-elevating drillship aptly named Sagar Samrat, that is, the Emperor of Seas, was custom-built in Japan for shaping India's offshore foray. Drillship Sagar Samrat at work in Mumbai High. That day, 19th February 1974, changed the energy landscape of the country forever. Sagar Samrat has been in service for 32 years. The rig has drilled 125 wells and has been associated with 14 major discoveries, adding more than 3 billion tons of oil and gas reserves. By embracing digitalization in all spheres of its operations, such as asset management, signaling, manufacturing, and passenger information system, the Railways is on track to improving its revenues and passenger experience. Indian Railways is the third largest railway network in the world by size and is continuously undergoing changes. One area of importance is to improve the network capacity and utilization, faster services, and safe running of trains. In order to bring efficiency, accuracy, and coordination in the reservation system in rail travel, computerized reservation system was started for the first time in Delhi in 1984, and thereafter it was made available all over India. In the same year, the metro was started in Kolkata. The 556.25 kilometer long railway line connects the states of Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, and Kerala. The first train on the completed track was sent off on 26 January 1998. The project involved over 2,116 bridges, of which the Panvel Bridge was the highest viaduct in India, and 92 tunnels was the largest railway project of the century in Asia. A major challenge was land acquisition from about 43,000 landowners. When the Konkan Railway Corporation began asking people to surrender property which had belonged to them for generations, many, convinced of the project's importance, did so voluntarily. This enabled the process to be completed in 1 year. The longest bridge is on the river Sharavati, spanning 2.06 kilometers, and the longest tunnel is in Karbode near Ratnagiri, stretching 6.561 km. During its initial years of operation in the mountainous Konkan region, a number of accidents prompted Konkan Railway to implement new technology. Anti-collision devices, the sky bus, and roll-on roll-off are several of railway's innovations. So dear students, in this way, India has been making progress in the fields of science and technology. New inventions have been made. India is an important 21st century nation which has always used technology for establishing peace in the world. India is making all these advancements in order to be foremost among nations in the 21st century. So, that's all for this class. Thanks for watching.